Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella. We're on the phone with Michigan U.S. Representative Pete Hoekstra, the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee. Welcome to Newsmax once again, Representative.
Hey, it's good to be with you. Thank you.
From what we understand, you're accusing Democrats in Congress and President Obama of playing politics with the careers of highly respected intelligence officers. Would you kindly explain for us?
Well, in the last couple of weeks, we've had another example again of where an intelligence professional, someone who's been in the community for years, nominated for a promotion that requires Senate confirmation. And as the administration and the Senate then looked at it, they said, whoa, wait a minute. This person may have touched some of the anti-terrorism programs that have been in place for the last 6 or 7 years, programs that were briefed to Congress, programs that were funded by Congress, but they're saying, we don't think that these people are qualified anymore. We think that their nominations may be too controversial because they did the programs that we asked them to do. They kept America safe, but we don't want this controversy. In effect, these people's careers have reached a dead end.
Okay, you're referring to intelligence officers Philip Mudd and John Brennan, who withdrew their names from consideration. Now, you write in National Review Online the following: these officers are being punished not for any wrongdoing, but for their success in administering innovative anti-terror programs that kept our nation safe from terrorist attack over 7 years. Representative, why do you think the Democrats would want to punish those who help keep our nation safe?
Well, remember, over the last 2 to 4 years, as some of these programs moved from being secret programs to finding their way into the mainstream press, all of a sudden the same Democrats that had supported these programs because they saw how effective they were and they recognized that they were well within the framework of the legal system here in America. When the programs became public, they said, oh, these things are terrible. They created this myth that the Bush administration was violating U.S. law, trampling all over American citizens' rights and civil liberties. And so, they didn't want to take responsibility for these programs, even though they knew about them and even though they funded them. They wanted to side with the left and say these things are terrible, they should never have happened.
In your opinion, are the Democrats completely beholden to radical fringe left groups?
Well, it sure appears to be that. Now, on a couple of occasions, the president has backed away, although, the speaker has not. One example is on the release of alleged abuse by our military at selected prisons in Iraq and Afghanistan. The president was going to release these videos. The ACLU, the left, wanted them released. Finally, after 4 to 5 weeks of intense pressure, the president finally realized, we're still at war. This is a really bad idea. So he pulled them back, but Speaker Pelosi still wants these videos or these photographs released. But by and large, on these types of issues, the president and the Democratic leadership and rank and file in Congress have sided with the radical left in undermining our intelligence professionals and undermining our military folks.
Does it ever make you wonder what side are they on?
Well, I'm sure that they're on our side, but they sure have a funny way about showing their support for our troops and for our intelligence community. I can tell you that, as we talk with frontline troops, as we talk with frontline intelligence professionals, the morale at these institutions, the morale on the front line is absolutely collapsing. They hear the president saying they're making mistakes, or they've made mistakes in the past. They hear the president talking about potentially, holding these people accountable by putting them in front of the courts, the court system, the legal process. And at the same time, they see politicians like Speaker Pelosi saying, I never knew, don't, and even if I did, there was nothing that I could do about them. And what they're seeing is they're seeing a real double standard as to what's going on.
Do House Republicans have any plan to stop Obama from bringing Guantanamo terror suspects into the U.S.?
Well, we've actually been pretty successful, both on the House and the Senate side, as we go through this stimulus bill. The stimulus bill, a funding proposal, restricts the president's ability to use this money to bring Gitmo folks to the United States. And so we have, at least for the current time, disrupted that portion of the president's agenda. Not as tightly as what we would have liked, but it clearly is a signal to the president. The president can still wiggle his way around it and get these folks into the United States one way or another. But we've made it harder for him to do it. I wish we'd made it impossible for him to do it, but we haven't been able to do that yet.
Your Republican House colleague, Mike Rogers, recently uncovered the fact that terror suspects detained in Afghanistan are now being read Miranda rights under orders from the Obama administration in general and Attorney General Eric Holder in particular. What do you say to that?
Well, I think it's very, very important that when we capture somebody on the battlefield, that we make sure that we tell them the first thing they can do is remain silent. Don't tell us about anything else that may be going on. This is absolutely ridiculous. What this administration is doing again is they're confusing our soldiers. Are you law enforcement or are you fighting a war? Are these people out? Are you trying to prevent a crime, or are you going to be in a position so that after the crime is committed, you'll be able to prosecute them? Now, it's a very bad step. This global justice initiative, again, jeopardizes the safety of our troops in the field.
In your opinion, are liberal Democrats making decisions that are putting the nation at risk?
Well, I hope not. But I can tell you that there was a lot of rationale as to why we had the policies in place that we did over the last 7.5 years. We also recognize that there's not been another attack on the homeland, so that the policies have worked. The administration and liberal Democrats have a different agenda and a different framework for how to combat these terrorists and these threats to the United States. I personally believe that they will not be as successful as what we've had. You can then make the rational conclusion that yes, I do believe that they're putting the country at greater risk. I hope I'm wrong, but I think the threats are very, very real, and we're now providing our enemies with a little bit more latitude and a bigger opening to attack the United States again.
All right, considering that Republicans don't have the votes to stop them, what, if anything, can they do? Look ahead to 2010, the election?
Well, sure, you can look forward to the election, but the most important thing is we got to drive public policy right now. We were elected to do a job. So as we had the president change his mind on the photos of the alleged abuse in the prisons, as we've rallied public opinion behind keeping Gitmo open and against taking the terrorists into the United States, as these issues arise, we need to go on offense. And even though we may not have the votes, we may have the voice to be able to go out to the American people and explain our positions and get them to understand why what we're proposing and what we're suggesting as alternatives to the Obama administration may be reasonable things to do, and that way we can influence public opinion and that we can influence public policy.
Representative Pete Hoekstra, as always, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and thanks from all of us here at Newsmax.
Hey, good. Thank you.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.
Homeland Security advises every family to have an emergency radio. It's essential for severe weather, power failures, even terrorism. Now Newsmax is offering you an emergency radio absolutely free. Just pay shipping and get the radio, plus a free trial subscription to Newsmax magazine. Go online to Newsmax.com to check out the details of this great offer. Get your free emergency radio today. Call 800-NEWSMAX. Make sure your family has the emergency radio. Call now, 800-NEWSMAX.